And I am recording. Okay, I do not see any attendees yet. Oh, I see one attendee. Okay, there are some participants coming in. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jeff Gorman, the Deputy Superintendent of Schools. Along with me is our Assistant Superintendent of School Improvement, Dr. Bennett Conroy, Mr. Silver, our Assistant Superintendent of Business, and Emmanuel Taylor, Emmanuel, our District Clerk. Tonight, we're going to present to you our budget that was accepted by the Board of Education last week. We'll do a public presentation tonight and answer questions. You can put your questions in the Q&A section, and we will take them after our presentation. And so I will share my screen, and Mr. Silver will kick us off and start with our board presentation on this year's budget, school budget. Mr. Silver, away we go.
Thank you, everyone, for being with us, and welcome. We're glad you're willing to spend an hour with us as we try to tell you a little bit about the process by which we developed the 2022-2023 budget, how we got there, what the taxes look like, what our programs are, who helped to do this, and where we're trying to get to. So I'm going to start off just by saying that we have a 0.5% tax increase, which is one of our very few tax increases in the last 8 years. And notice the senior staff, most of the senior staff is listed there, myself, Dr. Bennett Conroy, Jeff Gorman, and we're, of course, welcoming Taylor Manuel. Okay. So our plan, we have our vision and our mission. We are trying to create a sense of urgency and partnership with members of the community in a journey to restore, rebuild, and rebrand the district. We want to be recognized as a high-quality educational system where students receive a rigorous education and prepare to be college and career ready. We're not just focused on college, we're very focused on career ready with a very strong and growing career program. We call it a CTE program with many offerings and more to come in the very near future. Our philosophy, the budget is an investment plan. We construct the budget to support the district's mission. We are going to show you a little video of what really happens when a budget is created. This is just like the basics of creating a budget. This will just be a short video.
Did you see that bus go by? Oh, there goes another one. Well, these buses, like schools, are funded by a school district's budget. School budget is just a quick way to say what it costs to educate students. On average, 77% of New York school budgets are used to cover the salaries and benefits of the people who make education possible, like teachers, school aides, counselors, nurses, cleaners, mechanics, secretaries, administrators, coaches, and bus drivers. The budget also pays for the desk a student sits at, the book she reads, the classroom she learns in, the field she plays on, the device she uses for research, the test tube she studies, the music she reads, and the fuel that gets her bus home at the end of the day. So what else is in there? Well, there's also funding to meet special state and federal rules known as mandates. There are mandates about transporting students, maintaining school facilities, training staff, establishing safety practices, providing accessible classrooms, meeting learning standards, and much more. Schools must also prepare students to compete for tomorrow's jobs with more innovative technology, real-world projects, and individualized attention. Now that's a lot on the expenses side, and by law, school budgets must be balanced. Expenses anticipated for the year ahead, the money going out, must be matched by anticipated revenue, the money coming in. Most money for New York schools comes from two key sources: state funds and local property taxes. Federal aid, often in the form of grants, accounts for less than 5% of school funding. State aid is negotiated annually by the governor and the legislature, and state funds have provided about 40 to 45% of school revenue over the last 10 years. That leaves half of the pie to be filled by local property taxes. This tax levy slice is how communities fund their local schools. It's an investment that pays off with an educated workforce, more vibrant local communities, and a stronger economy. It's also a careful investment that considers the skills students need to succeed in future jobs, the cost of school programs and services, the state aid coming to public schools, and how much support local taxpayers can afford. School board members and school leaders consider all of this as they work throughout the year to manage school district finances and plan for the future. Ultimately, voters have the final say on school budgets when they head to the polls in May. To learn more before you cast your vote, check your local school district website or stop by a school board meeting. After all, the school budget directly affects your community, and gathering your input is an important part of the process.
For that. And unique to this year is that we really have to make up for the year we lost or the challenge that we had because of the COVID pandemic. We have additional staff we're hiring to make up for that. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So whatever slide there was during this COVID period, we're trying to fix for the kids and help them to catch up to where they should be. We have a budget committee. The names of the budget committee members are there. There's 2 board members and then community members, as well as the assistant business manager and myself. We look at our spending, we look at our revenue, we look at the revenue that comes from the legislature and from the governor's office to plan what we're going to be spending and how much we're going to have to spend for the following year. We take that, add that to what we need, and then we can determine what taxes we have to have. The budget planning, we have used reserves to offset tax increases in the past 8 years. We've only had 2 tax increases in the past 8 years before this. We carefully track our revenues. We look at the taxes throughout the district. We have to look at the assessments in the community, meaning how much the community is worth. We now collect our own school taxes in-house. This has helped us to not have the shortfall we had when the city was collecting our taxes. We also look for additional sources of revenue, and Dr. Bennett Conroy's Office of School Improvement has brought in significant grant monies for us that will last us probably 2 more years of these special grants that she was able to obtain. We also use reserves in 2 ways. Some reserves are just leftover money from the current year, and the other is restricted reserves, meaning reserves or savings that have to be used for specific purchases, such to offset debt or to help us with the retirement program or employment benefits. The bottom number on the left, 9,300,000, is what we had left at the end of last year. That was our unrestricted or unassigned fund balance at the end of the year. The year before, it was much worse. It was actually negative. And we did so well in this current year that we made up for that. The state had held back some of our state aid. We got that. We got some of the money that the city owes us. And so we ended up with 9,300,000 at the end of the year. By the end of this year, we expect to have our full legal fund balance of 4% of the budget. So we take the budget of $267 million, multiply it by 0.04, and we expect to have $10.6 million left over in reserves. That's our goal, has been the goal of the board, and we expect to achieve that. These are the capital projects that we have planned for the next year. We have not had capital projects to any extent in the past few years. These capital projects were developed in conjunction with the building principals and the superintendent of schools and the committee who helped to defend the budgets that the building principals wanted. We'll be doing a lot of things. These things all will be aided. As long as they are listed specifically in the budget, we will get state aid for every one of these projects. And we are hoping to repair a number or replace a number of playgrounds as a part of this. And we expect to get state aid to help us to fix the playgrounds. Okay. The budget at a glance. So this is the superintendent's proposed budget. It went through several iterations before the board finally voted on it and approved it at the meeting last week. It shows a 0.5% tax increase. And you can see the major increases in the budget: $2.6 million for capital projects, $3.4 million for operating the 16 schools. And it is worth noting that there's a new charter school in Mount Vernon, and we had to set aside $1.7 million for tuition. They can have as much as 112 children in their first year of operation. And if those children come from Mount Vernon, we will have to pay that tab to the charter schools. And you should know, as we always say, we save nothing by those children going to the charter schools. We are not able to cut classes, cut teachers, cut staff. It's just money that is used for these children who opt not to be in Mount Vernon. We expect our insurance to go up a little bit, our special education costs, and the psychological and social work costs are going up because we have added staff, again, as I mentioned earlier, to make up for the COVID issues that took place. We've also added money for natural gas because of the world situation. We expect to have to pay more for natural gas through our state contracts. Two good things in the budget: our debt service is down a little bit. It goes down a little bit every year. And our retirement incentive program is finished, and the expenses from paying people who retired are done. And so we save $652,000 next year on that. This is the way the revenue breaks down in a pie chart. The property taxes are $136 million, state aid is $114 million, and then fund balance and other revenues make up the rest to be our $266 million. The state aid is, as a percentage, is 43%. Property taxes are just over 50%. And our state aid is one of the highest state aids, certainly the highest in this area. And then you see fund balance on the top left. That's about 3% of the budget, what we use to make the budget match. These are the grant monies that Dr. Bennett Conroy was able to achieve for us through the Office of School Improvement. And we expect to spend, the next to last column on the right, we expect to spend $10 million in the American Rescue and $8.7 million in the other one, leaving a balance in the American Rescue Plan of $9.9 million, which will be spent in the final year of the grant. So we've been very fortunate to have all these monies, 29 million, over $30 million in grants. And the charts there show how they're being spent, what we're using them for. We used a good amount of it this year. These grant monies are not allowed to be used to supplant, meaning to take the place of anything in our budget. They're only meant to help our kids and do more than we could do without this money. This is what's called a three-part budget. It divides the budget into administrative costs, program, meaning the educational program, and then capital, which includes facilities and improvements. This year, for the first time in a long time, our administrative costs are below 9%. We always try to keep our administrative costs as low as possible, and that we are very pleased that it's 8.89, showing 9% on the chart, but just under 9%. A lot of things we have to do. We have no choice. That's called mandates. We have some 16 charter schools that we have over 500 children we anticipate going to next year. Each of those costs between $18,000 and $30,000 a child, depending upon the needs of the child. We expect that cost to be over $9 million, and we have no choice about it. Our health insurance, while very high, had a very small increase. We have done very well to contain the cost of our health insurance program. We belong to this program for many, many years, and it has about 35,000 lives included in it in 23 public school districts. There are other employee benefits, and then community schools. We try to increase our spending in the community schools to do more and more to have a good relationship between the schools and the community. And we have all our liaisons, which also work through the Office of School Improvement and work very closely with the PTAs, the building administration, and the parents in each building to bring programs in and have a better understanding of the school, how the school relates to the school district and the Board of Education and the administration. This slide on the top shows where we are in the green. That's what the budget is now. You can see the big difference between the top slide and the bottom slide is the top slide has gone up in our spending, but the bottom slide has gone up very, very little. You see where it says stop on the bottom slide, those are the years we had no tax increase. Then after 4 years of no tax increase, we had less than 1%. And then last year, 0.5%, and this year, 0.5%. Other school districts similar to ours had increases of double digits, well over double digits in this same period of time when we were able to control our costs so carefully. So we will also be doing, I'll come to that in a second, but we're also going to be doing another webinar on May 10th at 6 o'clock. You will also get a notice of that. We will be doing at 6 o'clock on Wednesday, April 27th. That will be a public budget presentation. And then Tuesday, May 10th, that's the one I just mentioned at 6 o'clock, will be another webinar. So Taylor, do you want to tell us some of the questions that have come in and we'll try to respond to them?
We haven't had any questions come in.
No questions? So I assume that means that people are very pleased with all of the work that we did during this period of 6 months of putting this budget together. Well, the entire administration has worked very hard. The people who are not here as well, our HR department and our pupil personnel department, as well as we have our transportation and facilities and food service. All these things come together to create the budget each year. If we have no questions, Dr. Bennett-Conroy, would you like to? I guess then we're finished.
Yes, but thank you, Ken. Thank you, Ken. I really appreciate you presenting it this afternoon. But what I can say though is that if anyone have any question, just send them to Miss Taylor Emmanuel, and she will definitely get the answers for you. So
You
something.
can put my email in the chat.
Right, you did. Okay.
So we will be back on the May 10th, a
Mhm.
week before the election. And if you, we hope you will get out and vote. And we hope that you will review what we have. The budget will be on the website. If it's not there, it will be there by tomorrow. And you could take a look at all the lines in the budget. If you have questions, you're more than welcome to ask any question. If you have something personal that you would like to ask, feel free to call my office. You're more than welcome to do that. My phone number is also on the website. I'm happy to meet with or talk to any community member who has a question or a comment with regard to the budget, our tax structure, or what we're trying to do to educate our children. So
Is there somebody raise their hand? Is there a hand raised in there, Taylor?
I
No?
don't see a hand raised.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay,
Dr. BC, I know that we're also recording tonight's webinar and we'll place it right on the front page of the website tomorrow, so people can view it if they didn't get a chance tonight. And like Mr. Silva said, we'll come out and we'll do it again, and hopefully we'll present that to and answer any questions that anybody has.
And we
Right.
do welcome any comments. We really do want to hear from you. We'd like to know what you think of the budget, of the job we're doing, of the job all of us are doing, and how we're putting this together for the children. That's what it's all about, the kids. And that's
Yes.
why we're here doing this work.
and please come out and vote for this budget,
May
because this is,
17th.
yes, May 17th, because this is where we're going to use all this money to get initiatives for our kids. So please come out and vote. Bring your neighbors, bring your sisters, bring your brothers, bring your grandparents. We need everybody to support this budget.
So that's May 17th. Is that between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m., Taylor?
Correct.
Tuesday, May 17th, between
Mhm.
7 and 9. And we hope you will get out, we hope you will get out and vote.
I mailed postcards out today, so information on the vote should be coming in the mail soon.
Okay,
Thank you all and have a good evening.
all right. Thank you, everyone.